Hey you guys, how's it going? It's Chris here. For today's video, we are going to be talking about Gorillaz' new album, The Now Now, and basically my first impressions and some of my lasting impressions on some of the songs. Now we're going to try to maintain some semblance of order by going down the list in the way that it is numbered on iTunes and the way that it has downloaded onto my laptop. So basically we're starting right off with Humility featuring George Benson. Obviously this is, I believe was the first track that they've released early to the public and also came along with a music video. And I have to say, like, without a doubt, this has to be my favorite song on the entire album for a myriad of reasons, and maybe my bias towards the music video, but I can't help but just love seeing the cast in there. Even Ace from the Powerpuff Girls chilling out with the basketball, stabbing it with a pocket knife. But something about seeing 2D just, buzzing around on his roller skates, Noodle hanging out playing chess, Russell being a jerk for some reason, and just the general feel is just sort of like a free, open, just happy-go-lucky kind of song, and it gets you that just kind of like twitch in your shoulder, just like as soon as the song starts with the little pops, with the little kicks, and then the slow fade into the happy drawl of 2D just enjoying himself. There's something just so incredibly endearing about this song that I can't help but listen to it non-stop. I have a problem, you guys. I have a problem. I have been listening to the song non-stop, and I can't stop singing it when I'm not listening to it. I even already did a vocal cover of this song, however it got blocked worldwide because of copyright, so you can view that on my website though if you like, link in the description below. This song is just incredible. I can't help but love it so much. Next, we're going to move on to a song that was obviously released just now as the album came out. This is Trans, T-R-A-N-Z. Now, most people would immediately think, with it being 2018 and everything that's going on with the LGBT plus community, that this is short for transgender or something like that, or some kind of play on that, when in fact that's not the case. It's more leaning towards trance. The idea I got behind it was more of like doing drugs, whether it be hard or soft drugs, and the effect that it has on you and other people, and how that effect varies and puts you in different states of mind. For example, do you lose yourself completely to where you're searching for yourself, kind of lost in that void of nihility? Or do you find yourself? Do you face yourself in the mirror and understand yourself completely while you're in that trance? And then once you're out of the trance, are you then lost again and trying to find your way? Or do you just become a blank slate? Do you just fall and just kind of look into a mirror but don't see your own reflection? Look around the room and you're the only one in there, and you're just kind of existing, and you're in that state of a blur. It's kind of like that. That's my interpretation of it all. It's just basically how everyone is affected differently by the substances that they take, and how every single interpretation is unique among an individual. Now, my first impression of the song was, with the beat at the beginning, it really had kind of a rehash feel, if you guys remember that old gem. Even though the rest of the song doesn't really fall into the category of like a rehash, not to be punny, but that's the first song that came into my head when I first heard the beat was rehash, though there's probably no connection or semblance between the two. That was just my initial thought. Immediately, the song had me tapping my feet to note, and the song really did sound more like 2D and not Damon. I do know a lot of songs kind of come in and sound more like Damon doing his solo stuff, or even like some Blur influence, but this sounded like 2D, which I liked. Now, I thought it was deserving of the short song on the album, but it did have enough energy to really kind of groove with it. It was overall above average. I probably give it like a 7 out of 10. Even though I'm not rating all the songs, it was above average. The next song on the list, we're moving on to Hollywood featuring Snoop Dogg and Jamie Principle. If you remember Jamie Principle from the Humans album, he was on a couple of tracks in there. Most notably, Sex Murder Party. I believe it was. Don't quote me. I believe it was. I have the internet in my hands, but I will not look it up in the 2 seconds it would take. Now, this song is a mixed bag for me, honestly. There's a lot of stuff really like the introduction to the song is just kind of, it feels like Humans. It definitely feels like it has a lot of different influence from different artists and whatever have you, with Snoop Dogg and Jamie both coming in here bringing in their own styles. You know that they definitely had their fingers all over the song as it was being made, and which is not a bad thing. It does work, and it does get a good groove. It's a good driving song, I found. I listen to it all the time while driving, and again, I can't get the chorus out of my head. The slow rap parts and like kind of the melodic singing that isn't Damon is good. It's very good. Jamie has a very unique voice, and obviously you have Snoop Dogg, which is one of my least favorite parts of the song, just because I'm not a rap hip-hop guy, even though Gorillaz brings me into that genre more than I care to admit that I like. I've never been that much of a fan of Snoop Dogg. You know, getting him on Welcome to the World of Plastic Beach was just kind of felt shoehorned. It didn't really fit, but I could kind of see how he was in here with this song. It kind of worked, because when you think of Hollywood, you think of big actors, you think of big names. Snoop Dogg is definitely a big name out there, and he has a big influence on a lot of the previous generations, so it kind of makes sense for him to be here. Now, I gotta say that this song was released with a visualizer with 2D, just kind of sitting in a chair or whatever and singing along to it, and it felt very Tomorrow Comes Today-ish, where with how most of the video wasn't animated with the characters outside of him just with his facial motions. It worked. The song definitely worked, and it has a good message, I feel. The message sort of being the way I interpret it, kind of like Hollywood, fame, social media, and all these influencers out there is a good thing. It's amazing. It brings people together. It grants diversity. It gives everyone new, varying opinions, but it's also negative in the same light. It balances out. And while it does a lot of wonderful, great things, it breeds a lot of negativity in the world, such as jealousy. And jealousy brings about a lot of darkness within people, lots of fears, lots of anxiety within you. And there's more to the world, there's more to love, there's more to your admiration for your fellow man and your friends than jealousy. You know, everyone's always boasting, everyone's always flexing the stuff that they have and bragging about it and showing off how many numbers they have, instead of, like, it's all about fans, not friends anymore, and everyone's showing up and trying to make everybody jealous of them, which overall just brings the entire mood and vibe of the world down. It just makes it a negative, hostile place. And that's kind of the generation that Hollywood has bred. But outside of that, you know, the song is still really good. It's a little bit on the long side, but the backbeat is good enough to, you know, still let me bob my head while driving or whatever have you. So overall, it's definitely a good song on my list, even though I don't care for some of the vocal talent, Snoop Dogg. Moving on to the next song, we have Kansas. This song to me definitely sounds more like Damon than 2D. It was very noticeable, and I get the sort of general theme from the music, from the melody, and from the lyrics of resetting yourself. Kind of like how Humility had the line "reset myself and get back on track." I feel like he took that line and made an entire song out of it, and generally that's what I feel. I don't know the actual full meaning, of course, but this is my first impression. It's kind of like, what I get is sort of hitting a wall and seeing that there's no one there to turn you around, so you have to kind of cope with yourself in the moment while you stare at that wall with your blinders on, and just kind of take a moment and evaluate yourself and dig deep and then reset. And then once you reset, you can go further. It's kind of like my whole philosophy of, in order to better as a person, you kind of have to hit rock bottom and really discover who you are. Kind of the same thing. You hit the wall, you evaluate yourself, you have nothing in front of you, nothing to your sides, and you're just kind of thinking with yourself. And then once you realize whatever was on your mind, whatever you cope with, then you can reset, and then you can start again, this time with an even further destination in your path. You are now going to go further because you've learned more. And I think the final theme, I sort of get it, building off of that one, is no wall can ever stop you forever, can never truly halt you in your place, but you can never really reach your peak. You're always going to hit a wall, and you're always going to have to reset. You're going to hit that limit. But it's a good time to hit that limit. It's always good to hit that limit. It's always good to refresh yourself and start again. Next song on the list, we have Sorcerers. It's more of an in-between song for me. I like it when it comes on. It's a really good beat. It's nice. It feels very mellow energy. It's a mixed blend of being calm and also very foot tapping. But I do find myself, for some reason, skipping this song more often than I'd like, and I don't really know why. I think maybe it's because it's kind of a blend between a instrumental track and a song with actual lyrics. It kind of skirts the line between that, and a lot of times I'll skip instrumental tracks unless it really hits a chord with me. But there is something about the chorus where I equally love it and I equally hate it. I guess not really hate. It's a very repetitive song. It's a very repetitive instrumental kind of vocalization song. There's all like backing vocals and the repetition of the same verse over and over again, which it's a good verse. It's everybody cool down and see yourself and hold on to your inner vision, you know. It's an easy chord to strike, and a lot of people can relate to it. But I find the song, even though it's only 3 minutes long, the song always feels like it's 5 minutes long. So I find myself skipping it about halfway through, even though it's a good song. And at least 8 out of 10 times I end up skipping it. And I don't know why. I like the song, I really do, and it's definitely a good background song, but it's not one of the ones I think I'll put on my main track list. Oh boy, moving on to the next song, which is Idaho. My first impression was it feels like the fall, which is equally a good and bad thing. Hearing the opening to the song, the first picture that came into my head was like a wheat field, like a golden wheat field, gentle breeze and isolation brought on by the sunset, you know, just being out on like a farm or something like that where the nearest other house or establishment is 5 miles away, just a long stretch of a dirt road, and the sun setting, so you know that you're basically trapped there for the night. If you do go out, it's a dangerous venture, and a long one at that. And that was kind of like the image I got in my head. That was the scenario I got in my head as the intro started playing. But then it kind of felt weird. It did sound like Damon, which is it's good. Obviously I like Damon's regular singing voice. So I do prefer the 2D in Gorillaz more over Damon, because then I feel disconnected from Gorillaz when I can hear more of Damon's inflections than I can 2D. But for me, honestly, this song was way too country, and that hurts a lot, because out of a very short album with only, I think 11 songs upon full release right now, not counting other singles that may be released later as part of the album, only 11 songs, losing any one of those in my interest hurts the album a lot. And this song, I immediately wanted to skip it by the time the chorus ended, and then by the time I was halfway through the second verse, I skipped the song. I didn't even finish it. It's a little over 3.5 minutes long, and I couldn't even make it to the 2.5 minute mark, or give or take rather, before I ended up skipping the song. It was way too country for me. I could not do it, and I did not like it. This is like a 3 out of 10, like my least favorite song on the album, and I don't even want to think about how much I didn't like it. I don't know, it just didn't fit the rest of the album for me. It did not fit the theme of the rest of the music. Move down next to Lake Zurich, which is really the only full instrumental song on the album, and it's a long one. It's 4 minutes long, and it's a good song, but I usually end up skipping instrumentals unless they have good backing vocals that accompany it and really just kind of give you a serene feeling. And this is an upbeat instrumental song, which would be fine if you were playing just in the background, but I don't think I would actually add the song to one of my main playlists, because I do like to sing along to Gorillaz as much as I can, and I can't sing along to Lake Zurich. So what if I'm driving or something, I'm not going to be playing the song. It's a good one. It's probably a solid 6 or 7 out of 10, but for me, I'm just not going to put it in my main list. I would still recommend it though. It's a very nice, very catchy. It's kind of like a good like walking song, I feel. If you're just going for like a long walk along the roadside or in the woods or something, I feel like this would be a good song. I don't know why. I think it would though. It helps. I think it kind of helps match the pace to your footsteps, and it would kind of add a little kick to your step every time you hear the little. I think every time you hear that, it would add a little kick to your steps. So, I don't know, maybe that's just what I get from it. Next, we have Magic City. It feels a little bit like Demon Days with some backing chorus. It feels a little bit like Damon's solo album that he did recently, Everyday Robots. It sounds a little bit like that with his chorus in this song, and it just kind of feels like it pulls the little pieces from a bunch of different albums he's already done and worked on, and that they're all kind of coming together for this one style. And it's nice. It's definitely alternative, and it feels good. My interpretation of the lyrics I get is Damon, not 2D, feeling like he's come far as an artist and a man, as an individual. Looking back, he sees the endurance that he held early in his career and in his life in the next generation. He sees that fuel, that fire, and he wants to offer his hand. He wants to offer his legacy to them and kind of reach out and point them in the right direction, in a sense, give them a wise opinion on what they should be doing, and just kind of like standing as an example. But he feels trapped by the iconography, like who he is and who people see him as. He wants to step down to a level of his ego that he hasn't been to in a long time, like shaking hands with an old friend, but he can't get rid of that status. He can't really escape who he is to other people, but a part of him inside doesn't want to. He enjoys the egotistical living, but he's also a very humble person, so he's kind of like torn between that. He's torn between wanting to reach out and help people and kind of sees the struggle that he had to face in the next generation. He sees the similarities and he wants to help, but it's hard because he's already accomplished all that, so he has a disconnect. That's what I get from it. And then he kind of, I feel like he has that question at the end of if what he has, the fame that he has, the life that he has, if that's the goal people should even be attempting to achieve. Is this really what they're looking forward to for becoming famous and putting themselves out there? Is it the motivation to become famous, or is it the motivation because they're passionate about what they make? It's kind of like a conflicting goals, and he doesn't know really how to cope with that and how he differs from that. Next song on the album has to be probably an all-time favorite. It immediately landed like my top 25 Gorillaz songs, and even Sam is absolutely in love with the song, and that is, of course, Fireflies. I feel like this song definitely hit a really strong chord with a lot of hardcore Gorillaz fans, because this, above all those, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. This, above all other songs, feels so much like Gorillaz. It feels like Faust, El Mañana, and Busted in Blue had a love child, and it is just pure passion. It's a heartbreaking and equally uplifting song, and when you listen to it, you just feel the emotion behind the instruments, behind the vocals, and you just feel the weight of the song. I'm serious, like when you listen to the song, I immediately feel clouded. I feel like I'm in a dark room with a bunch of little fireflies, and I feel that oppression weighing down, but also the wonder and the sensation that the fireflies swirling around bring out of me as a curious individual and as somebody who has experienced what life has to offer, and just how dark and painful it can feel, and all the regret that you feel wearing down on your soul, but also just how beautiful and uplifting everything is around you. And I'm not sure if that's the theme of the song, like just thinking about what the music makes me feel. That's what the music says to me. And I don't know, there's really not a whole lot more to say on this song besides it is just absolutely incredible, and I love this song to death. And this song has definitely replaced the initial thought I have in my head when I hear the words Fireflies, and it has destroyed Owl City, because I cannot stand that song, and I only want to think about this song when I think of Fireflies. That and Grave of the Fireflies, which if you want to cry, watch that movie, but I want those two meanings in my head and not Owl City. Nothing wrong with Owl City, but God, I hate that song. Moving to the next, we have 1%, and my very first impression by the opening instrumental is it sounds extraterrestrial, like you're lost and floating in space but tethered to the earth by a string, and with somebody holding the string, you don't know if they're going to let go or pull you back down or just let you float up there. That was the very first thing I had in my head upon hearing the intro to the song. And how I interpreted the lyrics throughout the song was, personally, as individuals, we have our own sound that defines us, but it's not indefinite. Okay, it is always being influenced. Our sound is always influenced by the sounds around us and the people around us, by the world around us, and all of the different ways to interpret music and human personality all kind of come together, because music is an extension of your personality. The songs you make and the songs you choose to listen to reflect the beauty of your soul, and we all resonate and perceive and receive each other based on the sounds we give off and the sounds we take in. We connect through sound, through music, through the beauty of that. And another little note is just like how the song portrays a myriad of varying sounds and tones, and yet still maintains a theme. It has a whole bunch of not a whole bunch, but you can hear like little acoustic plucking in the background at points. You can hear a bunch of different varying elements into there, but it still maintains the same theme throughout, which is just like us, just like people. As a species, we're all so unique, and we all have so many different varying degrees of who we are, but we're all so incredibly similar at the basic level. In the end, it's a short and sweet song that I will definitely be adding to my list. Now, the next song we have, and I believe the last song on this list, is Soak Eyes. I believe it's a play on Soul Eye, but it's Soak Eye. I don't know how you want to pronounce it. S-O-U-K-I. My first impression is it sounds like 2D. Definitely I get 2D's inflections in here. And I love the pacing of the song. To me, the first thing that I heard, the first image that came to my head when I heard this song was I could see 2D in his room, like back at Kong Studio or something, or wherever they are now in the Spirit House or something, just kind of dancing around, just humming alone late at night by himself, and just obliviously happy, just standing in the middle of the room with his arms outstretched, just kind of spinning and twirling and tapping, and just being himself, just getting lost in the tranquility of isolation and expressing who he is in where only the walls can see. That's my impression that I get from the sound, and then some, and not entirely the lyrics, but the sound of the song. As for the message, it's pretty easy. The song is about LA, and how LA is like a beautiful woman that you can't be without, but always have to, that you're always separated from. You're always coming back and always leaving and coming back and leaving. It's kind of like the life of a musician. You're always leaving home, returning home, knowing you have to leave again, and how it's kind of like emotionally wearing away at you, but you love it because you love returning home. You like the dopamine of returning home, and then the blissful desire of being absent from your home. So yeah, guys, that's really it. That is my opinions on each one of the individual songs. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know what your favorite is. If I'm gonna give quickly my top 3 favorite songs from this album, I would easily say Humility, Fireflies, and it's kind of a toss-up between Trans and Magic City. Definitely tied with those two, but I think I might have to go with Trans. That's a good song. But yeah, so I think that's probably it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe for more. And let me know down in the comments below which songs were your favorite and what your opinions were. I will see you guys in the next one. Later.